Hello and welcome to the Odds On podcast, brought to you by bookmaker comparison site bestbettingsites.co.uk with myself, Roy the Boy, and my partner in crime, Adrian Dane. Right, let's get the terms and conditions out of the way, shall we? This podcast is for those aged 18 plus because it contains lots and lots of themes of an adult nature, namely gambling. Now, on a serious note, please do bet responsibly. Do not hesitate to visit our help pages if you believe you might have an issue with your gambling. And alternatively, you can contact gambleaware.org. Okay, let's get stuck in with a look back at the World Cup and a look forward to the Premier League. Adrian, it's over to you.
Right, so the World Cup's done. Spain are world champions for the second time, 16 years after 2010. Beating Argentina 1-0 after extra time at the MetLife Stadium. It came down to just a substitute, Ferran Torres, scoring his first goal of the whole tournament just 39 seconds into the second period of extra time from 8 yards out. It was of course helped out by Argentina, who played the last stretch of normal time and all of extra time with 10 men. Enzo Fernandez, well known to Premier League fans, picked up a second yellow card for reckless foul deep into stoppage time. Now Messi barely got a kick, 44 touches in the whole final, and he was in tears collecting his runners-up medal. Spain finished the tournament having conceded 1 goal in 8 games, just 1. So that kind of tells you the story of the final on its own. Now the honest bit, back in episode 5, I put my name on Argentina and Messi lifted it. I tipped it before a ball was kicked, and I restated it just before the final. It didn't land. Spain's defence smothered them, and the red card, it kind of finished the job off. And I got it wrong. I can take that one on the chin, and that's what this segment is for. One more thing on the World Cup, because it's a generally good story. England picked up the bronze, beat France 6-4 in Miami, and the third place final playoff. It was an incredible game of football and my highlight of the tournament. It was the most goals scored in a World Cup match since 1982. So England were 4-0 up inside the first half. Declan Rice curling one in early and then Conser heading home. But of course, England didn't make it easy, and France roared back through a Mbappe double, plus Barcola and Dembele. Bukayo Saka got a hat-trick for England, which was really annoying for me because my teammate Johnny had put him as captain in his fantasy football team, which kind of erased all chances I had of catching him. That aside, Jude Bellingham's strike, his 7th goal of the tournament, that set a New England World Cup record, and it made it 6-4. That's England's best World Cup finish since they won the whole thing in 1966. So Mbappe's brace, incidentally, also made him the all-time World Cup top scorer, 22 goals and counting, overtaking Messi on the very weekend Messi's own international career may have just ended. So for World Cup, that's it. 4 years until anyone kicks a competitive ball again that matters this much. And if for some reason you've now got the international bug and wondering when England get their next crack at actual silverware, assuming we politely look past the Nations League for a minute, we're looking 2 years down the line to Euros 2028. Again, the good news for us is that it's co-hosted on home soil across the UK and Ireland, with the final at Wembley. So the narrative is already writing itself. In fact, the bookies have already opened the outright markets. They've got England sitting as third favourites at around 9-2. To be honest, that's probably where we was at the beginning of the World Cup, probably 4th favourites. So we're just behind the usual suspects, France and the newly crowned world champion Spain. They're both joint favourites at 4-1. And on paper, it's the ultimate setup for this squad. Jude Bellingham, Saka, they'll be in their prime. And the tournament is practically in our own back garden. And early odds suggest that the market expects England to be right in the thick of it again. But as we know all too well, with host tournaments, home advantage brings serious expectations. And after falling short in New Jersey, the pressure on this group to finally cross the line on home turf is going to be immense. But anyway, that's 2 years away. But of course, football doesn't stop because we are just 4 weeks away from the Premier League being back. And the bookies have already priced the whole thing. And that's today's show. Now, before we get into it, this is a betting show. It's strictly 18 plus, and it's made by bestbettingsites.co.uk. If you sign up to a bookmaker through one of our links, we may earn a commission. And that's how this show gets paid for. And as ever, I've no reason to sell you a loser. So, the diary. The Championship kicks off on Friday the 14th of August. The Community Shield, Arsenal against Man City, is Sunday the 16th. And it's in Cardiff this year, not Wembley. So let's have a quick look at how the bookmakers are pricing the game. Match winner market, over 90 minutes. Arsenal are 6-4, which is around about 2.50. The draw's 13-5, which is 3.60. And Manchester City, slight underdogs at 7-4, which is 2.75. There's not much in it, really. If you think it's going to be 1-0 to the Arsenal, then that's 17-2. 2-1 to Arsenal, that's 9-1. Then Man City's same score lines. 1-0 to Man City's 9-1, and 2-1 is also 9-1. One of the most popular markets is the half-time, full-time market, and Arsenal to be leading at the break and then to win are 16-5. If it's going to be Man City holding on through both halves, 7-2. If you fancy a draw in normal time and then a draw at the end and onto penalties, that's 24-5. A draw, then Arsenal is 11-2, and a draw, Man City 6-1. So just to recap there, then Arsenal are currently slight favourites, 6-4. Man City close behind at 7-4. To win from behind is a market that interests me. It's a story I can see happening. One team takes the lead, but the other fights back. You can get 12-1 for either team to do that. I could quite easily make a case for either team to do that, to be honest. I know I speak for a lot of fans, but as soon as the final whistle went in the World Cup, all I was thinking about then was the Premier League and the restart of domestic football. So with that in mind, let's have a look at the early odds for the Premier League. So a quick warning that every price you're about to hear is off recording, best available across the books. Check it before you follow me anywhere. And if you need help deciding between two operators, always check out bestbettingsites.co.uk. We are unbiased, and we have over a decade's worth of experience of helping people find the best betting partners. Right, so let's start at Arsenal then. They're 6-4 favourites, and I couldn't find a book offering better, to be honest. The case is simple. They're the champions, 85 points, a first league title in 22 years, and built on the best defence in the league. While everyone else has torn something up this summer, Arsenal have had the quietest window of the top six, and they've only made one signing, making a loan deal permanent. They've kept the manager, kept the spine, and stability is the whole pitch. The counter-argument, of course, is why 6-4 isn't shorter, is that the attack still needs a source of goals. And that Champions League final defeat to PSG on penalties tells you that the fine margins could still go against them. Manchester City are second favourites, no surprise there, at 5-2. But I'd watch that price because the freshest sheet I've seen them drifting past 3-1. Now, City finished second last season, 78 points, 12 behind Arsenal, general contenders. Not also runs, which is exactly why the price is moving now rather than the table. And do you know why? Pep Guardiola is gone after 10 years. Enzo Maresca's in the hot seat, his old assistant. Given that turbulent Chelsea spell, this could either be a stroke of genius or an absolute disaster for Manchester City. So this is one I'll be following very, very closely. And it's fair to say that City have backed him, Elliot Anderson from Forest, for 116 million. He was the most expensive Englishman there's ever been, until Chelsea gets him to that a week later. Bernardo Silva's left on a free. John Stones was released. And the market has cooled slightly since the appointment became real. But as we know, following a legend is the hardest job in football, and 5-2 is asking you to pay for talent while carrying succession risk. Now, here's a strange one. Liverpool at 5-1, they're third favourites, despite finishing fifth on 60 points. So they were 25 adrift of the champions and sacking Arne Slot at the end of May. They've lost Mo Salah. He left by a mutual agreement a year before his contract up. So his next club isn't settled. Senior defenders have followed him out the door. And Iriola comes in to run a full rebuild. And yet Liverpool are shorter than Manchester United, who finished 2 places above them. That's not form price. That's a brand price. I'd want bigger price to consider back in there. Which kind of takes me on to United at 6-1 and 7-1 at some places, finished third. 71 points, 11 clear of fourth place Villa, and Michael Carrick took over as interim in January. He lost 2 league games until the rest of this season and then got the job permanently in May. United have moved early in the transfer market as well. They got Tielemans in from Villa, 35 million release clause, which is a good bit of business, that. They got Santos in from Chelsea, and squad depth is a question the price is asking. But on last season's evidence, 6-1 against a team that finished third above Liverpool is the more honest quote. Again, squad depth is the one that gets me. With them having Champions League next season, I think that might be stretched. So unless there's a couple more coming in before the end of the window, I think they might struggle. Now, from a betting perspective, Chelsea at 10-1 are certainly a team I'm attracted to in the each-way market. At 10-1, that's what the chaos cost. 10th place, 52 points, 2 managers sacked along the way, and now they have Alonso, the 5th permanent boss of this ownership era. Now, real talent, real risk. Chelsea have broken the transfer record by signing Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa for 117 million. That fee surpassed the previous one set by Elliot Anderson. So a 23-year-old forward signed a 7-year deal with Chelsea, making the most expensive British player in history. Now, again, with Chelsea, it's a bit like Manchester United last season with no Europe. They've got a good run at this league. So could they do it? Yeah, possibly. I'd be more considering them in the each-way market. As regards the rest of the teams, there is then a cliff. The next highest priced team are Aston Villa at 25-1, and Villa have just won the Europa League. They beat Freiburg 3-0 in Istanbul. Emery's record, 5th in that competition, 4th in the league on 65 points. They sold Tielemans, but they moved fast for Gomez from Wolves. 25-1 for a top 4 side with a trophy-winning manager is the board's biggest each-way conversation, really, after Chelsea. After that, Newcastle at 40-1, 12th last season on 49 points. Quiet mid-table finish. And Tottenham, who the books generally cannot agree on. I've seen 50-1, but I've also seen 20-1, the widest split in the market. Now, that split makes more sense once you know how Spurs finished 17th on 41 points, just too clear of relegated West Ham. Now, some books are pricing what Spurs look like in the running. Others are pricing the squad on paper. Neither's obviously wrong. Now, let's have a look at the other side of the table, the relegation board. The market is saying the new boys, history says not so fast. Now, at the other end, and the first thing to say is that the bookies reflect. All 3 promoted clubs head the market. But if you'd have followed that logic last season, you'd have been wrong not once, but twice. Sunderland with a huge surprise package. They came up and finished 7th, and they're in the Europa League. And Leeds, many said they would go straight down, but they stayed up comfortably in 14th. Only Burnley went straight back down, so hold that thought while I'll read you these prices. Hull City, who faced Manchester United in the first game of their season, they are 1-4 favourites to go down, odds on. That's an implied percentage of around 80%. They came up the hard way through the playoffs, and the books rate them as the finished squad of the 3, which is worth knowing that they opened nearer 3-10 and have shortened, even while the owner talks about, his words, 200 million to spend. The market is saying, show me. Coventry and Ipswich, they sit together, both odds on. Coventry around 4-6, Ipswich 4-6 flat, which it feels harsh on Coventry. Champions by 11 points, 95 points, and back in the big time after 25 years. Frank Lampard is tied down to 2029 and around 35 million reportedly spent already. Champions historically travel better than playoff winners. And Ipswich price carries a different worry that they lost the architect. Kieran McKenna stepped down in June off the back of his 3rd promotion in 4 seasons there. And Gary O'Neill now walks into someone else's blueprints. That's the gamble inside the 4-6. Now, this one might come as a bit surprised, but Sunderland, yes, Sunderland, 7th place Sunderland, are next at around 5-2. So anywhere between 2-1 to 3-1, depending on the book. That's the second season syndrome pricing, plus a Europa League tax. Thursday, Sunday football with, at the time of writing, one sign-in, a free transfer, while a £19 million striker went the other way. If they don't strengthen for that schedule, the price is fair. If they do, it's value against them shortening. Then there's a three-way bunch at 11-2 to 6-1. So you've got Crystal Palace, Leeds and Fulham. And last season's table backs up the nothing between them pricing. Fulham 11th on 52 points, Leeds 14th on 47. Palace 15th on 45, and they're three sides that finished within 7 points of each other, with nothing at stake either way. Palace and Fulham both start the season under new managers, Leeds sticking with Daniel Farke. Nothing between the three of them on the board, which tells you the bookies are guessing too. So the board as it stands, Arsenal 6-4 to retain, City drifting behind them, and Liverpool at 5-1, the price I'd argue with the most. Polar odds on for the drop before a ball's been kicked, but remember, 2 of last season's 3 new boys stayed up. And West Ham 8-13 to come straight back. Every price I've mentioned today is of recording, and with about 4 weeks left, they will move. So check them before you follow me in. Now, the important bit to close, this is an 18 plus show, only ever state what you can afford to lose, and if gambling has stopped being fun, free confidential help is available at gambleaware.org or the National Gambling Helpline. Take time to think, and I'll see you next week. It's over to Roy.
Thanks, Adi. Well, Formula One now, and it's the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, this was the first race to go behind the Iron Curtain way back in 1986. Now it's a very dated, narrow track, and there has been a lot of shock winners or shock results down the years, notably Pastor Maldonado, who scored for Williams, and Damon Hill in 1997, who can forget. He nearly pulled off a 200-1 shocker, 35 seconds in front, got a hydraulic problem, and was picked up to finish second. Right, well, if it's going to be a shocker this time around, we won't blame the weather because the forecast is fine. In fact, it will be getting hotter and hotter during the race weekend. But to be fair, heat has not proved an Achilles heel for teams this year. It has done in the past, so I can't see that affecting things. Now, this race is often called the Monaco without the walls, and as the phrase suggests, overtaking here is not easy. But that could make it a lot of fun this year with the Super Mario-style boost buttons that drivers have and all the electronic wizardry. Because of its similarities, many teams do cross-reference this track with data from Barcelona. And that got me to thinking, who was standout in Barcelona? No, he was luckless ultimately, but I think he was standout, and that was Nico Hülkenberg. He likes these types of tracks, and I think his Audi car loves these type of tracks. High downforce. Now, let's not forget his teammate, Gabriel Botta. How do you pronounce that name? Bortoleto, that's the guy. He's Argentinian. See, I'm reluctant. Right, Bortoleto. Well, listen, he finished in the top 10 in his past 2 starts. That's Spa and Silverstone. On paper, not tracks that should suit the Audis. I think they'll both perform really, really well this weekend. But at 9-4, at the price, Hülkenberg is the bet of the weekend to finish in the points. That's a top 10 finish. All right. Now, consider this. If you are playing this weekend, there's some notable stats to look at and some amazing stats too. Did you know that Lewis Hamilton has not finished outside the top 6 once this year? Yeah, quite remarkably. Every one of his competitors have had a retirement or a lowly finish, but he's been hyper consistent, Lewis Hamilton. And another one to look at, Isaac Hadjar. He's on a run of 6 top 6 finishes, and he's outpointed Max Verstappen. His teammate, the great Max Verstappen, overall in the last 5 races. Now, Hadjar's 13-8 for another top 6 this weekend. The stats certainly suggest that is a value bet. So that's going to be my next best. Happy punting on the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, I am coming to you live from Blackpool, where the Betfred World Matchplay Championship is taking place. Last night, Luke Littler smashed in a brilliant 9-darter, and he nearly claimed a second when he beat Nathan Aspinall 11-8. Now, don't be fooled. Aspinall played really, really well, but a 113.7 average from Luke Littler, absolutely breathtaking, remarkable stuff. Littler's in the top half of the draw, and he's now 8-15 to win the competition. I suppose it's a case of who will emerge from the bottom half of the draw. Bookies believe it will be Wessel Nijman. He's an 8-1 poke now. He needs to overcome Dutch countryman Gian van Gien this evening before meeting either James Wade or Ryan Searle in the quarterfinals. At 33-1, half those odds for the each way money, I'm taking Ross Smith to make the final. You get a third of those odds, actually, each way terms, and half your money's on the place part of the bet. But I think 33-1 is a great price. He's got to beat Cameron Menzies in the next round, and then he'll meet Rob Cross or Gerwyn Price. Look at it right now. Well, he's top priced even money with one of our betting partners, Ladbrokes, to win the World Championship. And with Luke Humphries going off the boil, that might become my savings scheme over the next 4 to 5 months. I do think he is the next Phil Taylor. In fact, he's Phil Taylor on steroids. And now, it's been long enough now. You can't see him suddenly taking a form dip. So even money for the World Championships, I think that's a great bet. But first of all, he's got to win the match play. Question is, who can beat him? Well, it's almost time for us to wrap up. Let's make quick mention of the horse race, the King George's 6th and Queen Elizabeth Stakes at Ascot. Group 1 contest worth over $1 million to the winner is, of course, the classic Clash of the Generations. Clandigan is going to top the betting, I would imagine. What a fantastic racehorse. $7 million in lifetime earnings already. Can't believe they gelded him, but trainer says if they hadn't gelded him, he wouldn't have done the great things he's done. And let's not forget what he has done. He won the big race, the Yashima Classic in Dubai. He won the Japan World Cup. And last year at Ascot, he took the Champion Stakes. He's going to start favourite. The bookmakers believe at 6-4. We've got the Irish Derby winner, Benvenuto Cellini, trained by Aidan O'Brien, of course. He's going to receive £11 as a 3-year-old. And the Japanese, well, they get cheeky with Masquerade Bull. Excellent CV from this horse and very much an unknown quantity. Very much a race to savour is the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth every summer at Ascot. Right, let's call a halt to proceedings. Thank you so much for joining myself and Adi at the Odds On podcast. That final reminder, please always gamble responsibly. Go to Gamble.org if you think you might have an issue with the gambling. Just make it fun. Bet small. Gambling's a great deal of fun. You just got to keep the stakes low and enjoy yourself with it. Now, listen, until next week, you take care and happy punting.